Uh-huh. I know what you're thinking. Is this the booth, drafting the circuits, three-way theater, or the Kevin Jackson show? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kinda lost track myself here on Whobazoo.com. So, do you feel lucky, punk?
Oscar Mike Radio. Come in, Oscar Mike Radio.
Sinister One, this is Oscar Mike. I have you, Lima Charlie, over.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land or sea. First we fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Oscar Mike Radio, do you copy?
Sinister One Actual, I have you 5 by 5.
Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. Through our last night of shore, drink to the foam, until we meet once more. Here's wishing you a happy voyage home.
Oscar Mike Radio is en route.
Copy that, Sinister One. Coming at you from the City of Champions, Brockton, Massachusetts.
We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper is our guide, our pledge, our motto, too so true. We're always ready, do or die. I Coast Guard, we fight for you. Mercify and the army goes rolling along. And the army goes rolling along. High, high, hey, the army's on its way. Count off your cannons loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Come in, Oscar Mike Radio.
Oscar Mike Radio, veteran in action. On the move, on mission, always.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, soon to meet our thunder. And boys, give it the gun, down we die, spouting our flame from under. All at one terrible roar, we live in fame, we're down in flame. Oh, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. On guard at every station, protectors of our nation, the great armed forces of America, America today. Hooray!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Today is August 11th, 2016, and this is episode 4 of Oscar Mike Radio. Thank you so much for listening in. Full agenda today, so I will get started with the question of the week that came from many of you, and it simply is, what is a POG? This comes from Pogue and Grunt Complaint Department Incorporated. They're only happy when they're complaining. Hey, POG is a military acronym, surprise, surprise, for Person Other Than Grunt. You are either a grunt or not in many grunts' eyes, and so if you're not a grunt, you're not part of the club. Now, some of us hawkers would disagree with that, but that's another story for another time. But a POG is simply a person other than grunt. So, I wanted to talk this week about what took place here in Massachusetts on Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016. And I'm reading from the United States Attorney's Office, District of Massachusetts. So this is coming from the Attorney General's Office for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And this story is in regards to Glenn P. Pearson, 60 years old, who was indicted today with many accounts of wire fraud, tax fraud, all kinds of stuff with regard to defrauding 8 disabled veterans. That's right, 8 disabled veterans. And I feel this story has merit not because this is a terrible thing he did. It absolutely is. No question. There's no need to debate that this is a crime and a serious crime. I don't care if you have a gun or a pen. What he did to these veterans and their financial well-being is just as bad as going into a bank with a gun and saying, give me your money. In fact, it's worse because he betrayed their trust in order to execute the crimes that he did. And so I want to talk just a little bit about that because it's done, it's over with. I'm pleased to say from reading the Attorney General's statement on this and looking at other independent news sources that it appears that he's going to get the book thrown at him, which is a good thing. He should get the book thrown at him. And it also appears that the whole way this got escalated was because of an audit the VA did on his work, and they noticed that there were inconsistencies with the work he was filing and what was actually in the veterans' accounts. So, yay VA for being diligent and vigilant when it comes to veterans' money. And a big yay, hoorah, whatever you want to say, to the Attorney General's office for bringing it to this guy. Because it goes without saying, this guy is no better than a cockroach that deserves to be squashed. That's just how I feel. So I didn't want to focus all on that, though, because I got asked, and I asked myself, well, how does this happen? And what if there's not a VA? How do you find out about this? And I say that because there's many people across this country and in this state who have loved ones that are in the VA or loved ones who are disabled living on their own. And these loved ones go to, I don't know, an American Legion gathering, a biker gathering, whatever, right? And there's some guy there with a suit on and a nice car and a nice watch handing out business cards and pamphlets about how he can take their money and do something with it, right? He can, make their financial dreams come true if they just sign over, the ability for him to monitor their accounts, do their taxes and stuff like that. And the story's been told before, the story's happened before, and it will probably happen again as long as human beings are interacting with human beings. But that loved one may come home to you, the spouse, the son or daughter, the aunt or uncle, and say, hey, I met this wonderful guy at this event, and he's going to do all this stuff for me, and I signed right up. And what do? Do you just ignore that? Do you just say, well, okay, that's a good thing? Or does your gut tell you, hey, this doesn't sound right? I mean, who's this guy? How does my loved one know who he is? What's really going on here? Or maybe that didn't happen. Maybe you visited that loved one. You were in another state, you're in another town, and he's telling you the same thing. And your spidey sense, if you will, goes off, and you ask yourself, what do you do? And what do you do? Do you want to be an irritant? Do you want to raise a false alarm? Do you feel like you're causing trouble? I would say no. I would say those entrusted with a veteran's money, or let's just, for sake of argument, take the word veteran out and just say loved one, if you will. When someone is taking charge of someone else's money that you love and care about, you have every right, especially if you're taking care of that person, to know what's going on. But how do you do that? How do you do that and make sure that's going to be followed up on? What's the proper thing to do? Well, in this state, what you can do is you can go to your town's local veterans rep and escalate the issue there. You can file an issue with that veterans rep saying, this person came in with these credentials and now has access to my loved one's money. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm not really getting answers that I need. I asked for references, length of business, and it's a real shady thing, and I'm not really sure what's going on here, and I'm concerned for my loved one. And every veterans rep is charged with advocating for that veteran in that town. And a lot of them, I would say all of them, all the ones that I've met anyway, take that duty very seriously. They want to make sure that their veterans in their town are being taken care of. So they either have someone on speed dial that can take care of this and look at this for you, or they have someone in their contacts list who can definitely guide them in the right direction. Of course, if you don't want to go that route, you can always go straight to law enforcement. That is an option, and it might be a necessary one depending upon the size of money involved and what's at stake here. But if you just want to get started, your veterans rep is a good place to start. Now, what if you live outside the state of Massachusetts? What do? You can contact someone at the American Legion, at the VFW, Marine Corps League. You can go to DAV.org. It's DisabledAmericanVeterans.org. I'll have that link in the Oscar Mite site blog, oscarmitesite.wordpress.com. And you can contact somebody at one of the regional offices and tell them what's going on. They're a nonprofit that advocates for disabled veterans primarily, and they have seen this thousands of times. They're very good at finding out, inconsistencies with someone's story and taking action on that. And if all else fails and you're not sure what to do, you can always go to law enforcement and treat this as a white-collar crime. Because again, it doesn't matter if the person is using a gun or using a pen. They are taking your loved one's financial future and robbing them of it. And that disabled vet needs every penny that they can to live and have some kind of quality of life. So you should feel absolutely comfortable in escalating the issue if you feel the need to. And I would encourage you to do so. If it's a false alarm, it's a false alarm. At least you took action. But if it's not a false alarm, if it's not something that is, just you not knowing what's going on, and actually something criminal, well, then you have helped out not only your loved one, but possibly others. Because I can guarantee you this, if they've done it to your family or trying to do it to your family, they've done it to others. They've, worked their story, they've gotten their act down, and they are very good at it. And they're preying on people that want to feel accepted, want to feel something, and want to feel connected to somebody. So they're very good at taking advantage of that. If you're not sure where to go or how to get started, here's my promise to you, the listener. If you contact me and say something's going on and I can provide help, I will certainly do everything within my power with my resources that I have. Not many at this point, but still, I can write a letter, make a phone call, and I will try to assist where I can. And if that person is found to be possibly taking money from your loved one, I will pursue them with everything I have. Because this is how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. If you mess with one of us, I feel you mess with all of us. So I don't care where you live. I don't care what branch you served in. I don't care if you're a reservist. I don't care if you were in the Coast Guard. Some people don't consider the Coast Guard real military. I disagree with that. If you served our country, are serving our country, and you come to me for help, I'm going to try to either get you to the right person or help you myself. That is my promise to you. So the lesson from this story is it can happen to anybody. Glenn Pearson was a former cop. He came in with a slick story, and he got these vets to, gain their trust. He was also signed, vets by the VA to manage, and that's how they caught him with an audit. Yay, VA. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts is going to throw the book at him. Yay. But if you're a family member or in charge of somebody's finances and something like this happens, you can't count on the VA or the state knowing exactly what's going on to take action. If you think something's going on, by all means, raise a flag, raise your hand, and at least let somebody look at it and tell you, yes, I think this is wrong, or you know what, this is just normal stuff. He's doing his job, everything looks good, and it's all good. You have nothing to worry about. At least you'll know. At least you may have prevented your loved one from getting taken advantage of, and certainly you may have helped somebody else who might be getting taken advantage of. So again, we have to take care of each other. We have to be there for each other. And I don't think this story is the last time we'll hear about something like this, but I'm certainly glad in this case that it's going to have a happy ending as possible. So again, kudos to the VA and the state of Massachusetts for doing the right thing here. Well, not really the right thing, but making sure that justice is served. And that is this story for the week. So now we move on to the rant of the week, brought to you by Pogue and Grunt Complaint Company. They're not happy unless they're complaining. And the rant comes from Grunt. Grunt calls me up all upset. He is fired up that boot camp is getting too soft for young Marines. And when he was at Parris Island, they had to eat nails for breakfast and low crawl on the sand to eat chow in the morning. And these young Marines have it too easy. Now, I don't know about all that. I went to boot camp in San Diego, which is its own special brand of hell. But one thing I do know about boot camp, at least Marine Corps boot camp, which is the longest boot camp in, the United States military, is it sucked. It was not fun. I did not have any pleasant memories of boot camp except for when I graduated and they told me I was a United States Marine. That was it. It was designed that way and was very effective. And regardless, for Marines, 500 yards is still 500 yards. And of all the things you need to do in boot camp, you have to qualify with a rifle at 500 yards. You have to. You do not want to go unk, as we say. And you don't want to get in the habit of falling out of humps, which also suck in their own special way. So what I'm trying to say is 500 yards is 500 yards 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 30 years ahead, in a full pack with full gear, rifle, gas mask, the whole 9 yards, and humping that for 10, 15 miles isn't fun, isn't easy. I don't care what generation you're in. That's just how I view it. Now, are they serving lattes and giving massages after humps? I don't know, but for whatever reason, he was pretty fired up about it this week. And you have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, if he's complaining, he's happy. He was happy to be complaining. That's his thing. And this week, it was about boot camp being too easy. So if you serve the military and maybe you had a son or daughter or other loved one join the military, what do you think? Is he right? Is it getting too easy? Or is he just in a happy state of mind? And that is the rant of the week by Pogue and Grunt Complaint Department. They're happy now. I want to close this week with a combination of the unit shout out and the upcoming event. And for episode 5, dropping on August 18th. Wow, I've been doing this for a month now. That's pretty cool. But for episode 5, I have the distinct honor of getting to interview the CEO of Guardian Overwatch. And I don't want to give away the whole story now, but suffice to say, you go through life and you hear the word hero and warrior bat around like it's just a common term. But then sometimes you actually get to meet a hero. You actually get to meet a real leader, someone who has inspired people to follow him or her, someone who knows how to have a vision and execute it and get people to, buy into what they're doing. And this man and his wife and his team have really done something special. And I am just pleased as punch to get to talk to him, and that he would agree to come on the show and tell us about what they're doing and how you can possibly help out is a real honor and a real step forward for Oscar Mike Radio, because this is what I'm about. I'm about trying to find people who are working in the, not in the shadows, but they're not seeking glory. They're not on reality TV. They're trying to do something to help somebody else with no thought of their own glory or how it's going to look on an Instagram post. They're just doing it. And I feel these kind of people deserve to be, recognized and honored. And, if you have money that you want to throw toward an organization, I'd much rather you do it for someone like Guardian Overwatch than someone a lot larger. Someone that, you don't know where your money's going when you give it to them. And he's going to come on and talk about, how he got started, what he's doing now, some of the people that he's helped, and what you can do in the future. And it's really a fascinating story, because this guy is he's active duty right now doing this. He's active duty Army, still doing his job in the Army and still finding a way with all that he's got going on to provide this service, this immediate action response to veterans and active duty service members in need. And when you hear his story, I would be surprised if you're not as inspired and motivated as I am to spread the word and possibly help him out. So please, if you have time, tune in next week, listen to the podcast, ask questions in advance. It's going to be an exciting time as we start month number 2 of Oscar Mike Radio. And since this is the first month coming to a close, I just want to also throw out a big thank you to people who've listened, people who've gotten back to me with criticism and feedback about how to improve the show, people that I haven't talked to in a long time in the Marine Corps, some of my friends from Hawk who tuned in and liked it, and civilians, you civilians who haven't served in the military at all who have joined in. Thank you very much. This show would not be what it is without all of you, and so I am nothing without you listening, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy week to hear what I have to say. Thank you again. I also want to throw out a big thank you to Keith Hayes and Sinister One Productions with Wubazoo.com. We're getting ready to do a whole lot of good things with Oscar Mike Radio. They have shown me a whole lot in how to produce this stuff and how to make it better than what it is. So thank you again, and I look forward to working with you in the future. And that's kind of it for this week. I'm looking forward to doing this again. I'm having a blast doing it, and I hope that you have as much fun listening as I have fun doing it. Thank you very much, and I will be on in a week again. Take care. Bye.
Oscar Mike Radio, over and out.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land or sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Oscar Mike Radio, do you copy?
Sinister One Actual, I have you 5 by 5.
Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. Through our last night on shore, drink to the foam, until we meet once more. Here's wishing you a happy voyage home.
Oscar Mike Radio is en route.
Copy that, Sinister One. Coming at you from the City of Champions, Brockton, Massachusetts.
We're always ready for the call we place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Stem Imperatrix is our guide, our so true, we're always ready to or die. I Coast Guard, we fight for you. First to fight on and the Army goes rolling along. And the Army goes rolling along. Hi, hi, hey, the Army's on its way. Count off your cadence loud and strong. For where'er we go, you will always know that the Army goes rolling along.
Come in, Oscar Mike Radio.
Oscar Mike Radio, veteran in action. On the move, on mission, always.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, soon to meet our thunder. And boys, give them the gun. Down we die, spouting our flame from under. On one terrible roar, we live in flame. We're down in flame, oh, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. On guard at every station, protectors of our nation, the great armed forces of America.